Well, good morning, folks. It's been a few days. Been busy doing stuff. Rearranged the barn. Gathered up and hauled off 3,900 pounds of scrap steel. I'm not done yet. But today, we're going to look at this 1977 International Cub. Yes, it is supposed to be red. They changed back to red in 76. They only made from 76 on like 1,200 of these tractors. They made them continuously from 1946 or 47 all the way to 1979. And as you can see here, by 77, the farmall name was gone. It says International Cub right there. And that is all. I restored this tractor back in 2005, 2006. It was in pretty good shape. Did more or less just a strip down and repaint on it, which was good. But then it has sat here so long that the engine actually stuck. So I soaked it and got it to come loose, but now the little tractor will not crank the engine. So we've got to figure that out. I'm not real sure what the problem is exactly. We've got multiple issues because it's sat for, I really don't know how long. But anyway, as you can see that wiggle, that really shouldn't do that. So we're going to have to look at that. And then up under here, I think you can see it. There's this relay that runs the starter. It has an actual ignition switch here instead of a pull switch and a button to start the thing with. So they made some changes to that. But otherwise, other than styling, this is pretty much the exact same tractor. Oh, and a 12-volt Bandit. Bandit. I'm gonna have to go see what my goofy dog's problem is. Alright, so let's see. I think I was talking about improvements that they made to the tractor. Did have a factory 12-volt starting system. Whether that's really an improvement or not, I don't know, but definitely made a difference. Still had the same touch control hydraulics, still had the same lift system. Everything about it is the same tractor they made in 1946, 47, other than, as I mentioned, the 12-volt starting system, and they put in a key type ignition switch and a relay on the starter. It does actually have a clutch switch too, but I'm sure it's long since not working and bypassed. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as differences between this tractor and any of the earlier Cubs. Sometime in the early 60s, mid 60s maybe, they changed from red paint to yellow paint on these because they became more of a mowing tractor than anything else, although this one has a full set of cultivators, a blade, a grader blade, snow blade, bulldozer blade, whatever you want to call it, kind of blade out here, which is this little guy right here, a disc plow, and a sickle bar mower here in the weeds. We've got to get it out and figure out if it's going to be any good anymore or not. And it can be good again. It's just a matter of whether or not I want to fix it. And also, first little disc down there is also for a Cub. The second one came with my 1950 Farmall C when it was new. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at with this for right now. I got to do some digging and see why it will not crank. As I said, the engine was stuck, so I want to crank it without plugs in it just to make sure everything's okay before we go to all the trouble of putting it all the way back together and discovering that there's something internally wrong with the engine. I don't want to find that out the hard way. So anyway, guys, let me get busy and I'll get back with you in a minute. Okay, so I have finally extracted the ignition switch from its hole here where we can get to it. We have battery power, which is good. Now let's see if we have battery power on said ignition switch. It would appear that we do. So, let's try and turn it and see if we get any other powers. That should be, yeah, that should be right. And that way, and we should have well, okay. So it would appear that we're only getting 5 volts to the key on position. Now if I can hold this, check here also. Hear that relay going nuts down there, so it's getting low voltage to the relay basically, occasionally anyway. So yeah, I pretty well have nothing on the start post on the switch, so off to town to get a new switch. Alright, so been to the parts store and back, and sometimes wonders never cease. But anyway, they actually had something of use. As you can see here, I have a brand new shiny ignition switch. So, you know, it is marked as such: battery, ignition, start, which is all we need. It also has an accessory position, but again, we don't need that. So let me wire this in and we'll see what we got. Alright, so our switch is wired up. Need key for it. If I can get my lead untangled out of this cultivator. Go. So we have battery power. We have, nope, that was the wrong direction. And the plot thickens. We're only getting, it drops power, so we've got a bad wire somewhere. I've still got 12 volts on my battery without issue there. So most likely we have a bad wire, bad connection on our relay because that is where the power for the key switch connects to. Let me see if I can get set up where we can see that or not. Okay, so this is our wire right here that should be powering the ignition switch. This is your excite terminal for your relay. I know I checked down here yesterday. I had good battery power to here, so I'm just not getting power from here to the ignition switch. In that case, what we will do as a test solution, as I have a 30-foot jumper wire, and this is going to be a brief test just to see what it's capable of. We're going to hook that onto there and take another one up and hook it onto the battery power on the ignition switch. Okay, so we connect to the battery lead on the ignition switch, which should be this guy right here. And still nothing. Alright. So if we just do this, I'm not even getting a spark on that. What about this one? Nope, no sparks at all. So something is wrong with our connection at the relay. Alright, so I believe we found the culprit here. This is a screw together battery terminal on this cable. I'm very unimpressed with this thing. It is loose on here. You can spin the terminal on the cable quite a ways. So I think we're going to put a solder on it and then see what happens after that. Alright, so we have our terminal here. I peeled all the tape off of it so we can see it better. As you can see, there's a whole lot of exposed wire there. This thing just came apart with my fingers rather easily. You can see that it was going to be very hard for this to make a good connection. So yeah, we're just going to have to cut this off and start over anyway. Now we have a couple of options here. I can use this piece, which is the one that this thread together deal goes with, and I can fill it up with solder and stuff the cable in it. Now we have this little clamp-on type here that I could use, or we can use this, which is an actual solder terminal, and I'm going to use this one if it's the right post, because the positive and negative posts are a little bit different in size. But anyway, I'm going to go solder this all together or something and see what I can do. But yeah, I'm just going to have to cut that junky end off and start over basically. Alright, so here we are, and we are going to go ahead and solder this cable together. And yes, I'm going to use an acetylene torch because it's what I have use handy. Somebody's evidently been screwing with my torch. That's better. So pretty much the idea is we're just going to heat this terminal up, stick some solder in it. Solder. That's pretty much much full right there. Keep it hot until we get our cable in, like so. Remove the heat and wait until it cools off, basically. That's the only bad problem about doing this, is now we have to wait until it cools off. Which apparently is going to take some time, so I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so our cable cooled down, everything looks happy and what have you here, so we're going to go ahead and get this put on and we'll see what it does after that. Alright then, so we have our cable reinstalled with a good end on it, and now for a quick test. We have 12 volts there, which you can't see the meter at the moment. Still can't see the meter. There it is. So now we have well, we did have anyway. There we go, 12.63 volts on our battery power right there. We turn the key to on position. We still have 12.63 volts, so we no longer have a voltage drop. On the ignition side of the switch, we now have 12.63 volts. So everything is starting to work out for us. Let's see if it cranks or not. Getting a whole lot of clicking and not a lot of cranking. Which again is probably that this starter is messed up. Starter here. Alright, so next step, after I put the dash all back together anyway, is going to be to test the starter and see what we get there. Alright, so again, we have this problem right here. That post should not be able to wiggle like that. Now, oh, excuse me. We have click out of our, we're getting a good solid click out of our relay back there. So I'm gonna guess that our starter is beyond repair, or is broken. Yeah. That's a brand new battery and it's drawing it down to 7.5 volts when I do engage it. So our starter is now the problem. You saw I had the lead here on the starter terminal itself, and I had 7.5 volts here. I need to check the actual relay and see if I'm getting 7.5 volts there. If so, then it is drawing it down that much. Put that right there. Yeah, I've got 8 volts there, so I'm losing a volt between the relay and the starter. The cable itself is not warm, but the starter is, so yay! Now we got to take the starter off and take it apart and see if there's anything we can do for it. Alright, so we did remove the starter, which is only 2 bolts and the battery terminal nut. I have the starter over here on the bench right here, and it is stuck. So what has happened is water leaked in through this terminal and has rusted up the inside of the starter. Yep, this is going to have to go into another video now, so if you liked this video, please comment, rate, and subscribe for more, and there will be another one about rebuilding the starter. Thanks for watching.